You've about to complete about 4 months into being in this chair. You took over on 31st of December 2019. How has been the experience so far? What have been the main challenges?
Well, the experience so far has, of course, been very nice. When I had taken over, I had, during the Army Day press conference, outlined some of my guiding philosophy, which was allegiance, belief, continuity, integration, training, personal, and quality. And I'm trying to build up on those. When I took over, I had 2 years and 4 months as my tenure as the chief. So these 4 months, as you have pointed out, I have used it to go around to various formations, see the situation on the ground, and based on that, to try and formulate what should be the roadmap for the 2 years to come. And these have been very interesting 4 months because I have visited places where I had not been since my days as a second lieutenant.
Oh, that's long ago.
Long time. Yeah. So this refresher was required so that I can take a holistic view of the entire army, see the inputs from the ground so that we don't go wrong as we go ahead.
That's right.
And as
yeah, go ahead, please.
As any chief would want, he would always like to further improve upon whatever he has inherited and further enhance the operational standards, the operational readiness, and make his force more fighting fit. So we are working towards that. We have identified how we can further enhance our standards, and that will be as a result of a combination of different force structures. Once we decide upon that, how to man this new force in terms of equipment, arms, the manning, staffing levels. And once these two things are in place, then what would be the way that we strategize or change our strategy in keeping with the changing times and our amendments to our tactics, techniques, procedures. So keeping all this in mind, I am in the process of formulating certain goals, short-term, medium-term, long-term, and I hope that I should be able to achieve at least a majority of those, and these goals will address all these issues and will issues without leaving anyone behind. It will address all arms and services. It will address equipping, modernization issues. It will address HR concerns, and so on and so forth.
COVID in China. Tell us what were these big challenges in these past, I would say now 18 months since March 2020. And if you really see, I think it's like firefighting for you most of the time. Have you managed to also do some of the implementation of your own vision which you spoke about when you took over? How have you balanced that?
Well, thank you for the vote of confidence, but I must say it is not as much my contribution, but the contribution of the entire team who was involved in the procurement process, very ably led by the Vice Chief, who's I think sitting right opposite me. I can't see now in the dark, but he's somewhere here. Yeah, right opposite.
Correct.
So it was all the efforts of the Vice Chief and the team under him. As far as the last year or so has been concerned, you're quite right. The two C's, China and COVID, did take up most of our time because of the challenges which were happening in eastern Ladakh. We did have to mobilize a large number of forces in a very short time frame, but we were able to achieve that once again because of very good synergy between the services, and I must thank the men in blue because of whom we were able to mobilize forces in a short span to eastern Ladakh. And I think it is the speed of our mobilization and the speed with which we could induct forces in over such difficult terrain and in such difficult climatic conditions. I think that is what caught our adversary a little bit by surprise, and we were able to stabilize the situation as it was existing then.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about that, the mix of both conventional and futuristic technologies to be combined for any conflict happening. There is this now an observation by a lot of people who watch the Indian military that its reorientation towards the northern border, which was a work in progress and maybe kind of a slow process, has got hastened. Would you say that because of the crisis and because of the future threats, which is larger from China, that we are now reorienting more towards northern borders?
Yes, as I just mentioned, we keep carrying out this routine scan of what are the emerging threats.
Correct.
And then based on that, we lay down our priorities.
Sure.
So obviously with what happened in eastern Ladakh, the priority shifted from the western front to the northern front. And when I say northern front, it doesn't just mean eastern Ladakh or northern command.
No.
It means right from Leh Ladakh right up to Kibithu and
in Arunachal Pradesh.
Right. So it covers the whole of the northern command, central command, eastern command. So obviously there was a need to look at it in a totally different manner.
Correct.
And to that end, yes, there was a requirement to reorient some forces to cater for this enhanced threat perception.
Exactly. So, also talking about your COVID experience, I think the military has really risen to the occasion. Again, there, the what they call the non-conventional threats or non-traditional threats. How does military prepare for that? Because I think you did very well on the COVID front in terms of self-reliance and reaching out to people.
Yes, so in fact, when the COVID pandemic was still in its initial stages, we had anticipated that it might not go away so fast.
Right.
We couldn't obviously put a time frame to it. And therefore, we had undertaken a lot of steps towards force preservation and force sustenance.
Right.
And in fact, as far as force preservation is concerned, we were very strict in screening all our personnel. In fact, we must have done perhaps twice or thrice the amount of testing which was done for the rest of the country.
Okay.
But we made sure that anybody who was coming back from leave or courses or before getting deployed in the border area got screened at least 2 or 3 times. And because of that, on the borders, we were always 100% fit. So I could not afford for one whole platoon or for one whole picket or post to suddenly go down.
Correct.
So we were very strict in that aspect. And I think not only the commanders, but I would like to give full credit to the men.
Yes. For complying.
For complying. Not only complying, but when the lockdown was there, where for almost 6 months nobody could go on leave or come back from leave, all our men bore that additional hardship with fortitude and the fortitude that they are known for. There was no complaint from anyone that mujhe to chutti jati hai. People missed out on their own weddings.
Right. Yeah, extraordinary times.
The birth of their sons and daughters.
Yes.
But nobody complained.
Right.
And I think that is where, as an army, we draw our strength from our men.
Right.
Who are extremely hardy and are willing to bear those additional burdens and risks.
Which again, that's a lesson that they remain the strength, as you mentioned.